Hey guys, this is Substitute Topher here, filling in for the Topher today in Southern California. I feel like whenever I film a video, it always ends up being here. But anyways, today we're driving the 2022 Acura RDX A-Spec. Now there's a couple changes for 2022. We sort of just drove the 2021 A-Spec. You'll have seen the Topher's video on that. It was a red car. This one is finished in Apex Blue. And we have this very, very cool new orchid interior is what they're calling it. It's sort of like a super, super light cream color. I guess it's more white than anything. It's very, very bright. Black Alcantara here in the middle. Everything's perforated. But anyways, let's take a look around this thing because they've done a couple subtle changes to the outside as well. We've got a slightly different and revised front fascia. More similar looking to the MDX. We've got slightly different fog lights down here at the bottom, slightly different air intakes there on the sides of the bumper. Apex Blue, beautiful color in the sun. I mean, look at the way that the sun hits this color. Absolutely stunning. We've got a slightly revised rear fascia as well, so that looks slightly different. Got a good amount of space back here in the boot. Some additional storage under here as well. Pretty cool. Seats fold down nice and easy. Manually go back up. That's very nice. I like seats that are just nice, light, easy. You know what? As funny as this sounds, I like when it's just a nice manual pull. The seat goes down, it manually goes up and down. Sometimes the power ones are just overly complicated. In the Alpina XB7, I had sort of like a 20-minute panic moment where the seat sort of froze in one spot and refused to move. So a good manual seat, rear folding seat, that's good with me. Rear legroom, that is awesome. I mean, look at, I've just got tons of room. This is adjusted for me, I'm 5'11", and I've got tons of room back here. I've got tons of legroom, I've got tons of headroom. We've got a standard panoramic sunroof here on this advanced package car. Pretty cool stuff. I really like the layout of Acura interiors. Armrest here with a couple of cup holders. Sort of a nice material there to pet. I love this Alcantara here in the middle. We've also got that on the door panels here. All right, well, let's go up to the front of this thing. Here our 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, carried over from the last car. 272 horsepower, 280 foot-pounds of torque. That's mated to a 10-speed automatic in this car. As far as interior changes go, up front we do now have wireless Apple CarPlay, which is pretty sweet. Wireless Android Auto as well if you have an Android phone. Other than that, though, this interior is pretty familiar. All right, well, I feel like I'm trespassing, so we should probably get on the road and see what this RDX is like to drive. There's a couple things that I want to address right off the bat. So if you watch the Topher's video on this car, you'll know that he had a couple of complaints with some items in this RDX. For one, it was that the car had a little bit of road noise, a little bit more than expected. Well, I think that Acura has specifically watched his video because they've very much been stressing that this car is 30% quieter on the road than the previous RDX. They've added some more sort of sound deadening and thicker carpets and stuff like that to make this car just very, very quiet going down the road. And I will say, it's worked. I mean, it's pretty quiet. We're riding on some Goodyear Assurance tires, and I think that any sort of road noise that we do have, we can just blame on the Goodyears because I'm not the biggest fan of those tires. But whatever they've done, it's certainly helped. This car it's now noticeably quieter. And if you didn't hear me earlier, this car has a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine with 272 horsepower, 280 foot-pounds of torque. It feels pretty good up here. You know, it doesn't feel out of place. It feels like right about the right amount of horsepower. It's not overly fast, but I would go as far as calling it quick. This is a pretty quick SUV. Yeah, a lot of noise from those Goodyears there. So with the super handling all-wheel drive, we have a 30-70 split. In fact, let's go ahead and put this thing into sport mode. So 30% to the front wheels, 70% to the rear wheels. And with that 70% that goes to the back, the super handling all-wheel drive is able to send 100% of the 70% to either wheel. So that's pretty cool. Also, I'm happy we had that little section back there to ourselves. This thing handles pretty well for being an SUV in this class. You know, it's pretty direct. It handles very European. I'm going to piggyback off of what the Topher said when he drove this last. It's very sort of BMW X5-ish up here in these mountain roads, and that's very, very cool. Throttle response is great in sport mode. Ooh, we're really pushing it on these Goodyear Assurance tires. We're at the limits of the tires, but we're not even close to being at the limit of the car. I can tell that this car has a lot more in it. We're very under-tired on these all-season Goodyears, but that's okay because we're catching up to traffic anyways. So we'll talk about some of the other stuff with this car. I mean, it's just a really nice place to be. The seat's comfortable. I love the white. Beautiful views up here. I'll try not to get distracted. When you're not in sport, so I will say, I love the noise that makes. It's so fun to switch drive modes and hear that sort of Atari, like, video game-ish noise. Do I want comfort or do I want normal? I think I want both so I can continue. Okay, sorry. We're gonna ride this in comfort mode, put this back into just normal drive, and it really just settles down. It's very comfortable. The ride is pretty nice. I wouldn't say it's the best ride I've ever felt, but the ride is good. I like the feel of the steering wheel. We've got nice perforated leather here on the sides, and with the advanced pack, we do get this nice flat bottom as well. We've got paddle shifters back here. They're okay. Even when you put this thing into sport mode, they're not super fast to react. I think I would like a little bit of a faster reaction time. As you can see, there's a good, like, second delay between when you pull the paddle and the car actually shifts. Not a super aggressive downshift either. It doesn't really do like an aggressive cool rev match or anything. This thing sounds pretty cool though for just being a 2-liter 4-cylinder. They've got some sort of V6-ish tones in here somehow. All right, so moving on to another one of the Topher's things here, the gauge cluster. So we do have some new features in the middle. As I mentioned earlier when we were parked, we've got a massive digital speedometer here in the middle that's telling me how fast I'm going, but we do still have our analog gauges here on the sides, and they are lit up red, and I do agree they are a little bit hard to see. In the daytime, I'm sort of having to, like, I don't know, the red just doesn't really work in the daytime. I'd imagine that at night they look quite a bit better, and yes, here going in the shade here, simulating nighttime, I guess, they look a little bit better. In the daytime, though, they're a little bit hard to see. You kind of have to, like, squint, and they're a little bit blurry. I don't know. It's okay. I mean, I can see them, and the fact that they've added this digital speedometer here in the middle, that helps. I don't even really have to look at the gauges. So that's pretty cool. It'd be cool if you could change the colors of them. What happened to, like, the 90s and the early 2000s where everything just had those super, super nice, easy-to-see orange gauges? Orange is so easy on the eyes. That's kind of what I miss. My personal 2003 Lexus, most beautiful gauge cluster there is anyways. I'm a little biased on that. But it lights up orange, and it's so easy to see. During the day, you don't even need it to light up. You can see it normally, but at night, it's orange. It's fantastic. I wish we could go back to the days of just having orange across the board. It's luxurious, it's stylish, it's easy to see. This sort of center stack here, it's nice to have our climate control in its own separate unit. We don't have to go through the infotainment to get that. But even if you had to go through the infotainment, you wouldn't be able to reach it. The whole infotainment is controlled down here by this little touchpad. And it's one of the better touchpads. I would say that I like it better than the Lexus system just because you actually touch and push physical buttons down here. And that makes cool noises too when you do that. And you've got two separate touchpads. So you've got the big touchpad here for the left side of your screen, and you've got the smaller touchpad here on the right for the right side of the screen. So you can go through clock, what you're playing in Apple CarPlay, your directions, and you can cycle through all three of those things for the right. And then on the left, I've got navigation going right now to make sure I make it back to where I need to be. Auto stop start off, very, very easily accessible button. I really like that. I hate when manufacturers hide that, or I especially hate when it's in the infotainment. This is front and center right there. You can turn that off very easily, so I appreciate that. I think this car is a nice choice if you want to sort of get away from the Germans, if you want to get away from your Audi Q5, BMW X3, Mercedes GLC. This would be a nice option. You know, this car does everything that those cars do, and it's very satisfying to drive. All of the sort of noises and things that Acuras make, it just makes them very satisfying to drive. Everything in here feels very solid as well. It's just a very nice, solid contender, you know? It's a nice car. Let's put this thing in park, and we'll kind of go ahead and conclude our drive here of this new RDX. I will say, I'm pretty impressed with this SUV. It's fun to drive. It sounds cool. It's quieter than the last one, so that's all good. That's an Aston Martin there. Sweet. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for watching. Acura always gives you a cool sort of, I don't know, hit the cyclist. There he goes. Yes, I like that they do that upon entry and exit of the vehicle. It's a cool little, like, the car spins around and is like, phew. Acura nails it with all of the cool different sounds that they play in the car. All right, well, let's do one last little walk around of this RDX A-Spec. Got some good ASMR for you guys on these sort of rocks. It's a good looking SUV. It's sort of more and more becoming a baby MDX. There's lots of styling cues now that make it look like MDX. Look how massive those exhaust tips are. Wow, I didn't notice that till now. That looks pretty cool from the back. Yeah. Pretty sweet stuff. This has been Substitute Topher once again in Southern California. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you very soon in the next video.